Hi everyone, I'm Josh and this is Josh Wright Piano TV. Thanks so much for joining me today. I wanted to discuss teachers a little bit in this video. A lot of people email me telling me different qualities about their teachers, some good, some bad, and they say, do you think I should switch teachers? Do you think I should stick with my current teacher? I was listening to a podcast probably a month and a half ago. I'm a big golfer, and the interviewer, Ed Milet, was interviewing Phil Mickelson, so really big-time golfer. It's a great interview, by the way. It totally applies to piano. He talks a lot about visualization and mental toughness that can help you in performance. It could be on the golf course, it could be on the concert stage. So highly recommend that you go look that up. If you type in Ed Milet, M-Y-L-E-T-T, and Phil Mickelson, M-I-C-K-E-L-S-O-N. It's a great interview. I learned a lot from it that helped me actually, not only in my golf game, because I love golfing, but also here at the keyboard. And one of the interesting things that he brought up that I wanted to discuss a little bit as I've been getting these emails about teachers is the fact that Tiger Woods, first of all, is so absolutely amazing as a golfer. To have rebuilt his swing so many times. He keeps switching teachers and coaches, and I believe the first one, he had to rebuild it due to an injury. His swing was pretty violent. I might be getting my facts wrong. You can throw the real truth in the comments below if I'm messing that up, but he had to rebuild it because it was too violent of a swing on his body. He was causing certain injuries to happen in his body, so he rebuilt that, and then just a few years ago, the doctor told him, you may not even walk normally again, and then he went on to win the Masters. I mean, that guy is a legend with mental toughness and perseverance. However, Phil brought up the fact that that is really hard, and almost anyone besides someone like Tiger Woods would have a really hard time switching teachers that many times and starting from scratch with their swing. I mean, of course, things spilled over. It's not like he didn't know how to swing a golf club when he switched teachers, but that definitely goes for piano as well. A lot of people say, you know, my teacher's not a concert pianist. Should I stay with them? And I say, well, what level are you at? And they said, oh, I just started piano 2 weeks ago. And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. And for instance, my mom teaches, and my sister and sister-in-law and my wife teach. My wife has her doctorate. My sister-in-law has her master's. My sister is working on her master's. My mom just went to a little bit of her bachelor's. She got sick, got better. And they all teach at different levels. My mom only likes teaching up to Faber Piano Adventures level 4, you know, or whatever method book the student wants to work from. She likes Faber, but if the student works from Bastian, she's taught from that, or Alfred, or whatever it might be. Then my sisters-in-law and sisters-in-law might teach up to a certain level of advanced, and then my wife might teach more advanced than that, and at that doctoral level. And by the way, the amount of education that you have doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a better teacher for advanced pianists. It might not mean that you're a better teacher at all. I know a lot of amazing pianists that are not good teachers, and a lot of mediocre pianists that are incredible teachers. So the thing that I wanted to portray in this is, if your teacher is inspiring you and teaching you a lot and giving you good fundamentals, and you can see yourself progressing, don't feel that you need to switch teachers to a much more prestigious teacher all of a sudden. I was very fortunate. I studied with my grandma for the first 4.5 years of study, from age 5 to 9, and then I went to Susan Duehlmeier, who I still learn things from. I text her probably once or twice a month with random questions, and we still have that great friendship and bond and student-teacher relationship. I still respect her very much as one of my teachers. It's not just casual friendship, it's a high level of respect. I was very lucky to go to her when I was 9 years old, and she was brilliant to the point that I studied with her for 14 or 15 years and still felt like I had a lot to learn. There are other teachers that I feel like students kind of graduate on from, and a lot of teachers, and if you're a teacher, please take this advice, that should not be teaching students of a certain level that are just beyond their current level. I've had a couple of tragic situations where a student who was so raw unbelievably gifted, but they had no refinement because their teacher couldn't teach beyond, a very basic advanced level, that they just stagnated. And the teacher wanted the income more than they wanted the student to progress. And I just think that's a travesty. I just have no patience for that kind of behavior at all. So when you feel that your teacher you've kind of tapped out all of the potential with a teacher, I mean, feel free to go audition with other teachers and try out a lesson with them. Another thing that you have to be careful of in the piano world is there's a heavy amount of ego and protectiveness when it comes to students. And I understand why. You've invested so much with a student and you want to help them to continue progressing. And you don't want them just casually going to a bunch of different other teachers and getting confused. It's not like some other endeavors where getting a bunch of different opinions is a very desirable thing. Sometimes you just want that one teacher to help guide you so that you have some sort of consistency. I've watched certain pianists jump around from teacher to teacher to teacher thinking that there's going to be some magic bullet with the next teacher, and it's not. Every teacher teaches a little bit differently, of course, and they have their own methods. But if you've found a good teacher that continues to inspire you, that you're continuing to progress at a good rate with while you practice, you've got to put in the work too. Your teacher can't do everything for you. And then stick with that teacher. If you feel like the teacher is not helping you progress at all or is holding you back, or also a teacher that makes you feel terrible about yourself. Certain personalities go well with certain teachers and others don't. For instance, there was one girl, I still feel terrible about this. I pushed her and pushed her and pushed her. She was one of the best students I've ever taught. Brilliant, brilliant pianist. And she was playing Prokofiev First Concerto. Learned it in a matter of like a month or two. Competed, won first prize with it. At a competition she'd never been able to win. She's like, I've been competing in this for years. I've placed, but I've never won. I really want to win. I was like, okay, we'll get you there. She won. And then she brought Ondine to her next lesson. And I told her, I said, look, this is disappointing because you played Prokofiev at such a high level, but you're not putting all of those shapes in that you were with Prokofiev. I really want more for you this week. And apparently that was too harsh. Obviously my fault. I didn't know that that would offend her so much, and maybe she was being a little too sensitive. Maybe I was being a little bit too harsh. But a personality like that might go better with a different teacher, and vice versa. There's other students who I'm very, very, very strict with, and other teachers other students I'm very gentle with, depending on their personality. I try to read that. I hadn't read that one student well enough, obviously, but anyway. If you mesh well with the teacher, that's great. But if the teacher is always putting you down and making you feel terrible after every lesson, a lot of hardcore classical pianists can be that way. They think that you need to tear down the student completely and rebuild them. And I tend to disagree with that because I think psychology has so much to do with confidence and how well you play. So all of these are just some random thoughts that I wanted to share today about teachers, because I've been getting a lot of emails about whether students should switch teachers, and it's really hard to judge over an email, so please don't ask me that via email because I have no idea of gauging your teacher or how good of a practicer you are, or how advanced you are, or how quickly you learn. I mean, somebody emailed me yesterday that said, I've been playing for 2 years, where should I be at? And I was like, I have no idea. I have students who are playing, just getting through their first few minuets after the first 2 years, and I have other students who have played Chopin etudes after 2 years. It really depends on, and by the way, that's pretty rare. I've only seen that a few times with Chopin etudes, so don't think that's normal. Usually the Bach minuets are more normal, but it just totally depends on your level of ability, and your teacher's ability can play into that, and obviously their teaching methods can help. But don't throw your teacher under the bus, but also don't be afraid to seek out different advice if you feel like it is not meshing well between you and your teacher. I hope that gives a little bit of guidance for all of you who have been emailing me with that question. This is a little bit of a sensitive topic, so I meant no offense to anyone by what I've said in this video. I just wanted to provide a little bit of guidance on how to navigate that. And another thing is, if you ever want to take a lesson with another teacher, but you want to stay with your current teacher, do not go behind their back and take the lesson with the other teacher. Tell your teacher, say, hey, I had this opportunity to go take a lesson with this other teacher. I obviously want to keep studying with you, but I'd love to get a different perspective. What do you think? And then respect their wishes. If they're like, no, it's really a bad idea because I know this teacher and I know that they've just been stealing everyone else's students, but they haven't got the same results. Like I've seen them teach for a period of time and their students don't yield great results. Or, oh yeah, absolutely, I'd love for you to go get a different opinion. I did lessons with Sergei Babayan while I was in my master's program with Susan Duehlmeier. So she was completely fine with it, but I was very upfront with her. I said, hey, I want to do his academy I did it 2 years in a row. And then I did some private studies as well. Like once every few months, I'd fly out for a couple of lessons. And she was totally fine with that. And that's how I got that other perspective. But some teachers are not okay with that. So definitely be respectful as well. This is a very sensitive topic because we're talking about often decades-long mentoring, or like a decade or even several years, on the shorter side, which is crazy to think that a couple of years might be on the shorter side. But hope that helps you navigate some of the kind of murky waters of classical music etiquette regarding teachers and give you some guidance on selecting the right teacher for you. If any of you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. I'm going to leave a few links in the description below. One of them is for a free webinar containing 10 of my favorite practice tips to help the efficiency of your practice increase. 2 other links for a couple of my paid courses if you want to go even deeper beyond what this channel covers. And then finally, a link for all this gear that I use to make these videos, as some of you have been asking me for a list of that gear. It also has a list of beginner books and theory books that I recommend. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.